Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel, and if you're a subscriber, a warm welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about South African hotel Babylonstoren. It has for the last 3 years been voted the best hotel in South Africa by Conde and Nast in their Reader's Choice Awards. And I'm going to be talking about the hotel as part of Tembea Afrika, where I showcase some of the most spectacular hotels on the African continent. I'm Anesu Sagonda, and I produce educational luxury content for anyone after the finer things, whether you're new to money and wanting to learn how to navigate the terrain, or you're into luxury but you want to focus more on high quality, under the radar brands, or you're young and starting out in life and wanting to reap the benefits of buying better quality from the get-go, then my content is geared towards you. Babylonstoren is a working farm located in one of the core winelands in Cape Town. On site, they have numerous restaurants, accommodation, a spa, a winery, and magnificent botanical and floral gardens. It's fast becoming a destination hotel, not only for international travelers, international tourists, but also locals. Babylonstoren will offer special promotions, rates for locals. Locals will come for the day or for the weekend. It is an absolutely fantastic place. It's a big estate with a lot to do and see. Winning the Reader's Choice Awards 3 times in a row, as well as sponsoring a major international event, the Royal Horticultural Society flower show in London, Chelsea in London, has helped to really raise and cement the profile of the brand with the international jet set. It's a place that I base myself at when I'm in Cape Town. It's literally my home away from home. When people find out I'm staying in Babylonstoren, when we're trying to organize where to meet, where are you, what's easier, people always insist on coming to me because of Babylonstoren and just what a fantastic place it is. So it's a place to definitely get on your radar. If you were to choose one place in South Africa to splurge, a fantastic place for you to base yourself, home away from home, you're a business traveler to take meetings, you have family, young or old, or somewhere special for a significant birthday, anniversary, event, for example, I can't recommend Babylonstoren highly enough. I'm going to split this video into 3 sections. The first bit, I'll talk about the food and restaurants, the second bit, facilities and the accommodation, and then I'll finish with a bit on service. Babylonstoren operate a large scale, what is commonly referred to nowadays as farm to table, farm to plate dining concept in their restaurants. I'm going to attach above a video from Heckfield Place where I spoke about farm to table concept in detail. You have, as a direct competitor to Babylonstoren in terms of scale, you have in the United Kingdom Dalesford Organic. In the United States, very similar to Heckfield Place in terms of smaller scale, but also farm to table. You have Blue Hill at Stone Barns and the Blue Hill restaurant in New York, which I've been to. I'm also going to attach that video above. And the focus for all of those establishments is on growing the majority of food that is prepared in the restaurants, or rearing the animals that they then use for the meat or the byproducts in those restaurants. With Babylonstoren, they will then process and package some of the byproducts, cuts of meat, for example, cheese, cream, butter, and all of those things are then processed on site and retailed in one of their numerous stores. It's what they refer to as pick, clean, and serve. They have a number of stores. There is a grocery store. You'll pretty much be able to find all the food you need for the 3 meals of the day and the snacks in between. So think, for example, fresh fruit, vegetables, cereals, jams, biscuits, tea, marmalades, all of those good things will have been grown and then processed on site at Babylonstoren. They have a fromagerie, your cream, your cheese, your milk, butter, yogurt, for example, and those are all byproducts from the cattle that they breed on site to then process the byproducts, sell numerous cuts of meat in the butchery, or they use the meat in their on-site restaurants as well. Babylonstoren, there is breed of cattle that they work with at Babylonstoren, and all of the meat comes from the Chianina breed of cattle. It's an Italian breed of cattle. It's a dirty white beigey color. It's the tallest and the heaviest of all the breeds of cattle, and their meat is a rosy color, especially in comparison to what is typically the deep, rich ruby color of beef. Theirs is a rosy color. It has lower marbling, low in cholesterol, and therefore it's easier to digest. The flavor is very distinct, but it's mellow. It's not a very strong, overpowering flavor, but it is distinct and incredibly flavorful. And that is what they serve in their restaurants. They sell numerous cuts in the butchery and also the byproducts in the fromagerie. They also have on site a store that sells biscuits and chocolates, great for gifts as well, and then a bakery where they sell a lot of your baked goods. Babylonstoren get literally thousands of day visitors, and you'll see them wandering around. They dine either in the restaurants, or people will buy food from one of the numerous stores, eat it on site, settle down for a picnic, or they buy the food and leave, or buy food as gifts, for example. So there's a lot going on at Babylonstoren when it comes to food that's available. It's farm to table. The same concept translates to the store. Pretty much everything you'll find has been grown, reared on site, and if it hasn't, it'll always be sourced locally. They also have a spa, and catering comes from one of the restaurants, the greenhouse. There's a winery, and they have a restaurant in there. In the winery, they have the highest ranked Shiraz in South Africa. It's an own brand, Babylonstoren, and they grow their grapes and produce their own wine on site as well. The restaurants, there are 2 restaurants, or rather there's 3 restaurants. The 2 main restaurants, you have the greenhouse. Greenhouse is first come, first served basis. They don't take reservations. It's al fresco, it's informal. It's where I typically meet people if they want to come over to Babylonstoren. And they have your typical cafe, easy, informal, all-day menu. Think of things like chips, you have salads, you have soups and so forth. But they have their own quirky take in terms of the preparation of the food and also the presentation. And then there's Babel, a little more formal. It's part indoors, part al fresco, and they are focused on literally just showcasing the very best produce of the season. Dynamic menu that's always changing with the seasons, with what they have, and the focus is just on showcasing the high quality food that's reared, grown, and processed on site. Very simple, no fuss menu. Add very little seasoning, typically herbs that they've grown on site, just to coax out and enhance the flavor. The focus is very much on just letting the high quality of the food do all the talking. They also have in Babel a fantastic breakfast. Whenever I stay there, I will typically have in a week breakfast, maybe once, maximum twice, breakfast in Babel where it's typically served. And that's so that I can get the cooked breakfast. But even if you don't have the cooked breakfast, and I typically will have breakfast delivered to the cottage, it's the cold breakfast because food will get cold. There's quite a sizable distance, but I will go down for the cooked breakfast. But the cooked breakfast, the cold breakfast, the buffet is the best I've ever seen. I'm going to attach a short above where I talk about that, but I have never been anywhere else in the entire world where I have encountered a breakfast that's comparable to Babylonstoren in terms of the quality. It's wholesome, high quality food, exotic, the spread, the preparation of the food, the presentation is absolutely outstanding. They have two cooked breakfasts, and I've tried both, and I'll only go down just for one of those each time I stay there. But it's somewhere where I've gone and I've seen guests, in-house guests or day visitors who come in for a special treat, and then they're presented with a bouquet of flowers, if it's your birthday, for example, from flowers that are grown locally at Babylonstoren. But when it comes to breakfast, absolutely outstanding, 10 out of 10. I have yet to come across anywhere, honestly, that serves breakfast, that prepares and serves a breakfast as high quality as Babylonstoren. They also have an old bakery where they host a couple of events every week. 2-3 nights is an Italian event where they serve pasta, and then the other 2 or 3 nights they have a carnivore evening where they have numerous cuts from the Chianina breed of cattle that they serve. It's communal dining, couple of big tables, you sit down with the other guests, whether it's guests, in-house guests, or guests who have made reservations. And it's fun because you meet new people, you chat, you break bread together. There's wine, there's food, and it's fun. It's something I would highly recommend, and I've done and I could do again. When it comes to facilities, Babylonstoren has an abundance of events, workshops, guided tours, and just facilities, whether it's the spa, the winery, the gardens, where you can just wander around and enjoy at your leisure. But the workshops I would highly recommend. They're available to day visitors as well as to in-house guests. In-house guests get free access to the workshops, and they're typically ticketed, charged events, but the sheer variety and the number of workshops available, and then the level of detail, absolutely fantastic. I think, for example, they have the wineries, so there are numerous wine courses on different aspects of wine. There is guided tours within the gardens, the botanical gardens, the floral gardens, the herbal gardens, a workshop focused around lavender and rosemary and the creation of essential oils, the healing properties of herbs. There's a bird workshop, a bee workshop. There's an ikebana workshop, Japanese floral arrangements. There's also a Christmas wreath arrangement closer towards Christmas time, a pasta workshop as well. You have so many workshop options available to you. When you're an in-house guest, what you have specifically for in-house guests, other people don't have access to. There's a massive dam very close to Fynbos cottages. You can go paddling in there. There's another dam as well where you can go fishing. There are mountain drives every day, a couple of times a day, 2-3 times a day. And you drive to the top of the mountains that overlook the estate, and you enjoy the most spectacular views of the entire Babylonstoren estate. On your way up to the mountains, you get to see the vineyards, you get to see the citrus, the nut vineyards, you get to see where they grow the rooibos for the tea, for example. You get to see the entire farm and the size of the operation. It puts it all in perspective for you. And then, of course, it ends with the most spectacular views with nibbles that have been processed on site, and, of course, the wine that is Babylonstoren's own brand. Accommodation, there are two types of accommodation. There's cottages that are actually within the main estate next to the greenhouse restaurant. I haven't stayed there, and that's because they're right in the middle of the estate. The estate, as I've mentioned, gets thousands of day visitors. It's busy, it's typically crowded. Throw into that the heat, it's dusty, it's noisy. You're right in the thick of things. It's fun, it's furious, it's hectic. But I prefer somewhere a little quieter, and they have Fynbos cottages, and they are located about a 6-7 minute drive away from the main estate. Every guest who's staying at Fynbos cottages made up of either 1-2 bedroomed cottages, largely, but they do have one big family villa that they started building the first time I went, and I think it should be completed by now. But I have stayed twice at Babylonstoren in the last 18 months. I've been incredibly fortunate enough to have been able to go down and enjoy the facilities, and the majority of the accommodation is 1-2 bedroomed cottages. And you get a buggy with each cottage, and the cottages also come with 2 bicycles, so you can cycle around the estate in the morning, which is what I typically do, either cycle or go around, have a jog round and get to see the workers in the farm, and you can talk to them about whatever it is that they're growing or processing or they're harvesting, for example. And it's fairly interactive, and you get very good exercise because it's fairly hilly, so the mountains can be quite punishing, but you literally earn your meals at Babylonstoren if you start the day off with exercise around the estate. With each cottage, 1 or 2 bedroomed, stylishly decorated, more your Scandi in terms of the style, colors, a lot of wood, dark wood, and they're kitted out with all the mod cons you would need. It's literally a home away from home. And there's nothing that you would ever need. Everything is supplied for you. You can prepare meals, get all the food from the stores that are around the main estate. Everything you'd need available from there. And you're pretty much self-contained, but you do get access to the breakfasts every day. And as I mentioned, I only have cooked breakfast once during each stay. And then the other times I get cold breakfast delivered. When we're out running, They bring in the breakfast and it's beautifully laid out for you, ready for your arrival, and you can enjoy it. And there's always a good mix of different types of fruit, yogurts, bread, and so forth. And depending on time of year, they may throw in, for example, hot cross buns. But with the cottages, as I mentioned, they are comfortably, stylishly decorated. You have housekeeping every single day who come in and tidy the entire property. You also get access to the laundry facility. They will launder up to 6 items free of charge for you if you are an in-house guest. And the housekeeping is fantastic because you don't need to worry about anything except yourself. There's a fireplace, so if you light the fire every night, they will come in and clean the fireplace and replenish the firewood and so forth. And all you do is just enjoy the cottage, the food, the facilities, the estate, and not have to worry about doing anything else except just looking after yourself. And of course, you've got the 2 bikes you can wander around. You have the buggy, which you get for your entire stay. The estate, as I've mentioned, is very big. It's sizable. And I like the way Fynbos cottages are removed. So you're away from the hustle and bustle of the main estate. And you have your independence. You can drive around with your buggy. All you have to remember to do is whenever you drive to the estate, to recharge it. And you can come and go as you please. If you're going into the center of Cape Town, you drive down to the car park, plug in your buggy, and then you can get an Uber and go out and then come back and pick up your buggy and go back to your cottage. So that's their wonderful Fynbos cottages. And they also have their own swimming pool area with a fully stocked bar with the majority of Babylonstoren wines, soft drinks, beers. You can have sundowners any time of day. It doesn't close. And because the facility doesn't have a lot of cottages and therefore people, it's never overwhelmed. I have never actually been to the swimming pool and seen other guests. It tends to be fairly empty, and guests are respectful. If other people come, they will then go if they've been there for a while and just give them their space. But it's fantastic, your own pool, your own area. You could actually stay at Babylonstoren and not move. You have breakfast delivered. You can prepare meals in your cottage, go for walks around the estate, and then sundowners, and you swim in the pool area. And then when you're ready to leave, drive down to the estate, airport, and back to your home country. So that's the facilities and also the accommodation at Babylonstoren. Service is something I have struggled with on both occasions that I've stayed at Babylonstoren. And unfortunately, it's something that is a little too common, I find sometimes, whilst traveling sub-Saharan Africa. And I don't want someone to come back and say, oh my goodness, you're discriminating, you're being mean, you're being harsh. But I've spoken to a number of staff, and I will typically talk to either waiting staff, the housekeepers, the gardeners, for example, and just try to get a better understanding of training, their perception of service, if they're aware of such a thing as creating an experience. And one thing I've consistently found is that a lot of the people who work in a lot of the establishments, firstly, may not have traveled internationally. And quite a few have not actually seen what good service or creating a luxurious experience looks like, or the type of experience that I would expect from an establishment at Babylonstoren's level. And it just boils down to exposure, not knowing, not appreciating what it looks like, but you're expected to give it at the top end of the market. And you have the international jet set who travel all over the world, and they are exposed to hotels in developed economies where people are a lot more comfortable with service, how to provide it, and what is expected of them. And I remember on 2 separate occasions, both times I've stayed at Babylonstoren, things have happened and I thought this shouldn't be happening at this level. The first, both times I've been to Babylonstoren, I have bought large quantities of biltong to bring back to the United Kingdom. The first time I bought biltong back, I had it vacuum packed in the United Kingdom in a local butchery. And then the second time I asked them to vacuum pack it on site. And when I got back, within a month, the biltong had started rotting. So it puts into question how well the meat had been actually vacuum packed. Reached out to Babylonstoren, and it took a while to locate the right person. I literally was passed from pillar to post. I must have gone through maybe 6-7 different people before I got through to the right person. And the person I spoke to seemed a little casual about it and said, oh, let me take notes, I will come back to you. Waited a month, no response. Reached out again, and they said, oh, no, I'll come back to you. I'm speaking to the relevant person. And a few months later, I still have not heard a word. So I'm left having to claim back via my credit card company. The second issue, as I mentioned, when you're staying at Babylonstoren, you're given the use of a golf cart to maneuver around the estate as it's so big. And I noticed the second time around, the cart was stolen a couple of times. Did a bit of investigative journalism and found out that the cart had been allocated to a VIP, the owner of the estate actually. And instead of the hotel saying, we need the golf cart, we're going to use it for half an hour or whatever the period of time, and we will get you transported to your cottage or wherever you need to go to, they just helped themselves to the cart and said nothing. And then we were left searching for the golf cart, and then it appeared a couple of hours later. And I thought, at this level again, this isn't even an issue. This is something that we should not have happened. If they needed an extra cart and they needed our cart, they should have explained this and then put in other processes in place and offered another golf cart or offered to take us around. But nothing was said or done about it. In fact, it was almost like a joke. And I thought, this is not acceptable. I just thought, what a shame. And even after complaining, it was just almost dismissed as an, oh, well, it happened, deal with it. But at this level, a one-bedroom Fynbos cottage, low season, you're looking at 500 a night, top season about £800 a night. These are things that we shouldn't even be having a discussion about. And I just thought, this is not good. And for them to think it's okay, it's acceptable, no. Because Babylonstoren is a hotel that is very much punting at the top end of the market. The infrastructure, the aesthetic is absolutely amazing. It's a very well thought out and executed product. And it's such a shame that service, which is the icing on the cake, the deal breaker, is something that isn't necessarily considered highly. And I thought, what can they do? And one thing I think a lot of hotels in South Africa can benefit from, apart from just Babylonstoren, is actually an exchange program. For example, Babylonstoren have a hotel in the United Kingdom, the Newt in Somerset. And I remember talking to one of the managers in Babylonstoren, and they're really excited about attending the Chelsea Flower Show. And I was thinking, why don't they do that with staff? Actually have staff who come to the United Kingdom for 3 months, so they get an appreciation of a different environment, service being given in a different environment, they learn from other people, and then also people from the Newton Somerset going to South Africa, for example. And then I consider the other hotels in South Africa where I've struggled with service. You have cities all over the world that twin with other cities. Why don't they twin with other hotels? And they swap staff. That way staff learn in a different country, and staff from that hotel also go to South Africa and they're able to teach others and also look for opportunities locals might not be aware of and highlight things people might have missed because it's something that they're exposed to all the time. So those are just my thoughts. Babylonstoren is a phenomenal hotel. I cannot recommend it highly enough. But the issues I've had with the service has made me think a couple of times that this is something they really need to address, and it's not something that they can gloss over or laugh about, but this is what takes their brand to the next level and keeps it consistently at that level. Love to get your thoughts. I know I've got a handful of viewers and subscribers who like Babylonstoren. Let me know your thoughts. If you're in South Africa, this is a place to get on your radar. As always, to all my wonderful subscribers, thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon.